Georgia Atkins-Smith is bringing science into the spotlight with her popular Insta blog. A new ride-sharing service is cutting through the streets of Melbourne. The competitive online gaming society will be joining us at the desk, and we also discuss should we all delete Facebook. Good afternoon, my name is Sasha Doherty.
And I'm Raquel Martins, and we are coming to you live from La Trobe University in Bundoora. Welcome to LTYou Radio.
And what's happening in the news today, Raquel?
Well, Australia has taken back their title as number one in the Commonwealth Games from our biggest rival, England, finishing in the top spot on the Gold Coast last night. Although the athletes were happy with their results, they've been left with a bit of a bitter taste in their mouth following the closing ceremony. The athletes were ushered into the stadium before the broadcast started and weren't acknowledged, which left them feeling a little underappreciated. The Commonwealth Games chairman Peter Batty has stepped forward, taking full responsibility and apologising for this mistake. Russian President Vladimir Putin has given chilling threats after the airstrikes in Syria. The bombing that US President Donald Trump is calling a mission accomplished was carried out without the support of the Congress or Senate. Putin is not happy with the action and has said that another attack on Syria will end in global chaos. The University of Queensland has launched an investigation after researchers promoted a universal medicine cult. Universal Medicine is an organisation based in New South Wales that teaches the healing power of breast massage and other unproven treatments. Universal Medicine was founded by Serge Bayan, who is an ex-bankrupt tennis coach with no medical qualifications. Sydney's southwest residents can breathe a sigh of relief after the bushfire that burned over 2,400 hectares eased overnight. Unfortunately, firefighters are worried about the 40-kilometre winds due to hit Sydney in the afternoon. The threat levies are currently on watch and act until further notice. And finally, Victoria Police are treating a body found in the back of a blue wagon as suspicious. Police were responding to reports of a robbery before 11 a.m, but after further investigation around the area, they stumbled across a car with the dead body. The body is yet to be identified.
Wow, what a day for news.
I know, it's a bit of a big one.
Biggest thing that's trending on Twitter today is the Commonwealth closing games. Now,
definitely.
Joanna Griggs, who was broadcasting with Channel 7 last night, really showed her disdain during the ceremony itself, saying she was unhappy with the way the athletes were being treated and they were ushered in without any prior knowledge of the fact they weren't actually going to be shown on television putting the flag up.
It's a bit of a, finishing up that ceremony, you've done such an amazing job. A lot of our athletes have done, incredible hard work leading up to the games. You've put it all in, you've done what you need to do to, represent Australia, and then you don't really get any acknowledgement at the end of it. It's a bit disappointing that that decision was made, and I wonder how they did come to make that decision.
Well, they're sort of doing the blame game. Oh, it was the other broadcaster, and then Peter Beattie saying, yes, we did stuff up. Not much we can do about it now. But it certainly caused a lot of anger via people watching it on TV last night.
Definitely.
What else are we looking at? We've got, a bit of relief in the bushfire situation in Sydney.
Yeah, it's good that they've finally had that relief. It's been a bit of a hard time for people in the western part of Sydney going through that. It's always, bushfires are... Yeah. We do get a lot of that stuff out this way. We had our big bushfires Black Saturday not too long ago. So we can definitely sympathise with them and what they're going through.
Absolutely. But it's such a late arrival.
It is.
It's autumn.
We're meant to be in autumn. I think today we're getting a little bit of a taste of that cooler weather, but...
Yeah, it's unusual. That's where climate change arguments again arise. That's people discussing that as well online. But also looking more towards Syria. That situation just seems to be getting more and more serious each single time I log on to Twitter.
It's scary to see things like this happening, especially when, people who are meant to be leading countries are making decisions without supposedly the support of, the Senate and the people who are meant to be representing the people who've elected.
That's it, and I think Prime Minister Turnbull put his backing against supporting the US in regards to that, and again, that's more controversial. But we'll have to wait and see what happens in regards to that, but I don't think it'll be long before a decision is made.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah.
I think it's time we move to our first story. We've got a wonderful interview today. Georgia Atkins-Smith. Now, she isn't just some blonde scientist. She is sharing her love of science through her super popular social media blog called Some Blonde Scientist. You can check her out on Instagram. She's got a great Instagram page. I've done a bit of a stalk before she
Awesome.
came in. She's got some really cool stuff going. So we're just going to roll with a bit of a video about her, and we'll have her in the
Absolutely.
studio.
It sounds great.
My name is Georgia Atkins-Smith and I'm a final year PhD student in the LTYou Institute for Molecular Science. What I'm working on is in the field of biochemistry and immunology. In the human body, every day billions of cells are dying, and when these cells die, they break apart into smaller pieces. And we're basically looking into that process. And in particular, I'm looking into influenza infection. So when you get the flu, there's a mass amount of cell death within your lung. So we're looking at this process of cell death in the case of influenza and seeing how does this fragmentation event affect the pathogenesis of influenza. It's very common for in the undergraduate classes to have a lot of girls go through
Look, I guess first of all, tell us what path you took to get through to university and how you ended up sitting at our desk today.
Yeah, so I guess as soon as I finished my high school, I joined LTYou University and did my Bachelor in Biotechnology and Cell Biology. And then I got straight into my honours year in biochemistry. And then as soon as I started honours, I really knew that I loved science and research and it was the place for me. And so I applied for and got into a PhD and that's where I am now.
That's awesome. Is it something that you were always interested in growing up, science itself, and then moving on to the biochemistry?
Science, yes, definitely. So when I first started my degree, I just knew I liked science, but that was about it. I think I went through my entire undergraduate degree not really knowing about careers in science or what pathway to go down.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, overall, yes, I love science, but what was out there, I had no idea. So really finding that throughout my degree and then in honours.
Now, I'm probably going to mispronounce this, so please forgive me, but what is apoptotic? Or how would you say it?
So apoptotic,
yes,
cell disassembly.
Cell disassembly and cleans. Tell us about that.
So as you saw in that little clip before, so this process of apoptotic cell disassembly basically means apoptosis, so that is a type of cell death, and the disassembly is disassembling to break apart. So we're looking at how dying cells break apart. Okay. And this is quite important because in our body every day and also in a series of disease settings, cells are dying and, you know, things like infection or cancers or disease, they will induce this cell death. So it's really a common occurrence and therefore really important to understand.
Yeah, absolutely. Why did you decide to start your Insta blog?
I think I myself use social media quite a lot, and then I kind of came to the realisation of if I use it for myself, I may as well do something useful with it. Yeah. And I've always really enjoyed communications and outreach and work like that. So I decided to start it up, and then I think once I initially started it, I really saw all the benefits coming through from it, to that platform to be able to reach out to young women and just to general public and to show them what it is to be a scientist in the lab.
Yeah. And do you think what's that journey on Instagram been like? Have you seen a really big influx? Has there been certain posts that you've had a lot of feedback on, or, you know, gotten a bit of a conversation started? What's been your experience? I
definitely have. It's been a very interactive network and it's going really well. So at the moment, you know, when I first started it, I was aiming to get, hopefully I can get like 1,000 followers. Yeah. And now at the moment, I've just hit 4,000 and I've, I quite oftenly will get inboxes by young people or just other people in the science field or interested in science, just wanting advice about careers in science or what it is like to be a scientist, or just some advice and tips for general life in the lab. So it's a really interactive community and a really supportive community to be a part of.
What does the research you're doing mean for the cure of cancer? And, it's what everyone obviously wants to end up at the end of the day, but how close do you think you could get to that? Or
So our research, we have about a team of 12 at the moment, and we all look at this process of cell death and that fragmentation event, but in different settings. So I'm looking in the infection, in the influenza setting, but we have girls in the lab looking at in the cancer setting. Yeah. And I think, finding research that leads to the cure to cancer, it's a bit of a, it's the dream. But I guess the work that we do here at La Trobe, it's very much setting the basis down and setting that groundwork down. So we're looking at ways to possibly see how the immune response would respond to cancer and things like that. So, hopefully this groundworking really can change the way that we view science and cell death and, could potentially lead towards those findings for cancer research.
That's amazing. That's
awesome. Do you have any tips and tricks for getting through, the undergrad degree before you get to the stage where you are now? I know a lot of students might be like you. They're going through their undergrad, not really knowing if science is for them or what type of science they want to do. What can you share with them that would help them get through that?
My biggest advice would probably be to just get a lot of experience in networking. So in every single semester in my undergrad degree, I'd always apply for internships and work experience. And it wasn't until I actually got one of those that I really knew that, research is pretty cool. Like, I actually really enjoy this. So until you get that initial experience in the workforce or placements in the lab, you need that to figure out where you want to go. So I really recommend that, just seeking out those opportunities.
And can students come and do placement with you?
Yeah, so all of the labs in LIMS usually take on work experience students. There are actual programs through different courses that run them as well, but it's very common for lab heads to take on work experience students to get them to expose to that kind of work.
That's incredible. Just going back to, female in science, is that still quite a strange concept, or is it getting better?
I think at the moment, in 2018, it's a very talked about and publicised kind of concept. And there are a lot of women doing really fantastic things around the world, but it's still something that is not equal at the moment. Yeah. And I guess the thing is, when we go through undergrad and when we start our PhD, there are lots of girls and women in the field. But then when they could go through that career progression and, might get to that lab head stage, the ratios of women to men just really drops off. Oh, right. And a lot of that comes back down to women choosing to have a family, go on maternity leave, and just really struggling to get back into science because at the end of the day, everything's based on publications. And if you take a year and a half off,
because it's consistently moving forward, isn't it?
Exactly. So, there are lots of ways now that facilities and institutes are trying to support women in science to work around that delay they may have with maternity leave.
Oh, cool. And just going, do you have a specific hashtag that you like to use? Is it some blonde scientist?
Yeah, I do use that, but I also use things like just women in STEM. Yeah. And we also are promoting these days the LTYou scientists. So there was recently a big movement with the LTYou scientists hashtag just to draw more attention to that the scientists in the lab aren't just old men in the lab coats, but they're, young people who love social media and have a whole lot of activities besides just science.
Yeah, awesome. And with the, sorry to interrupt, the STEM, so there's been a lot of talk about that in the government and the education system. Is that something that you're hoping will continue to encourage?
Yeah, definitely. So it's something that I'm quite passionate about. It's promoting women in STEM and just promoting STEM in general. So I'm always looking forward to do more outreach and more talks and things like that to get the younger generation more involved in science.
Have you done a lot of talks and a lot of that outreach work?
Through La Trobe, I have done quite a bit. I've had quite a lot of really fantastic opportunities to speak to undergraduate students and talk about my journey and my experiences in science, and that's a really good starting point to kind of reach people. But yeah, hopefully I'll move on to bigger and better things, and that's something that's good with the blog, with my Instagram, because I can reach people not only from La Trobe or Victoria, Australia, but there are international followers and people who can inbox me from overseas and still have that networking in a relationship.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. Okay. Where do we go to from here?
Well, I believe there is a new rideshare service on its way to Melbourne. They have two things that they want to change about the industry. Yeah. They want to make it fun and make it a bit more efficient. So we've already got things like Uber and taxis and that sort of thing. So Scooty's a little bit different. It looks pretty cool. I do have a few worries about it being, who I am, I get pretty worried about getting on scooters and motorbikes and that sort of thing. But it'll be interesting to see how this goes and how people take to it. I think it's something that's really different, but could be interesting.
Well, we had one of our reporters out checking it out, didn't we?
We sure did.
I think we should find out more, and then I'll see how scared you really are of a scooter.
Sounds good.
Great.
A new mode of shared public transport has arrived on Melbourne's roads. It's called Scooty, and it's Australia's first scooter taxi service.
Similar to Uber, Scooty connects drivers with passengers in need of a lift through an app, which is set to launch this month.
So just like any other ride-sharing app, you download the app, create an account, and then you just put in a request for a ride. It gives you a fare estimate, and then a driver on the other end accepts it. They take you to your destination, you give them feedback, the driver gives you feedback, and you go wherever you want smiling. And the best thing about Melbourne is you can drive on the footpath, so you literally get picked up from your doorstep and dropped off at your doorstep. Yeah. Trams don't offer that. Uber doesn't offer that.
But how does this differ from the already existing transport services like Uber or O-Bike?
We are focused on cutting traffic congestion, right? You see during peak hour traffic, and that's from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m, all across the CBD and within a 5 to 10k radius. You see all these scooters slicing through traffic with an empty seat in the back. Our job is to fill that empty seat, okay? Now, instead of waiting 45 k's to go 3 kilometers, we can do that same thing in 5-10 minutes. So that massive saving in time equates to a saving in money. We save you time, we save you money, you meet a cool driver, you become part of this unique community. We're all, like, these bikes are all electric, so we're all, big advocates of looking after the environment, sustainability. It's one of our core values. So yeah, we're reducing our carbon footprint significantly.
While it hasn't yet been launched here in Australia, similar systems have proven to work in other places and are consistently growing in popularity.
Gojek in Indonesia does this. Grab in Singapore, Malaysia. In Paris, you've got several. We're the first in Australia.
The RACV says hopping onto the back of a motorcycle or scooter is very different to riding in a car, as many of the added protection and safety features built into cars over many generations simply do not exist.
We take it seriously because we're dealing with people. Our drivers need to be at least 21 years of age. They must have a full license, so even if they're on their provisional too, we don't onboard them. They need to pass a safe driving check, police check. We have our own internal driver training, which they must pass. So mounting a bike, checking their blind spots, braking, parking, turning.
Scooty is currently recruiting drivers in order to launch its fleet of 50 scooters and motorbikes by April. Prospective drivers can either use their own bikes, provided they meet the rigorous safety and hygiene standards, or invest in an electric scooter to keep in line with Scooter's commitment to reduce carbon emissions. Paula Martinez reporting.
We've got our own daredevil with us. Tell us more about Scooty.
Yeah, so it's a super cool business. I guess it's Uber's competition. It's pretty much just, it works like Uber, but it's in scooters. And so their main selling point is that they will get you to wherever you need to go quicker, because at the end of the day, you are getting to the front of the line, you are weaving through traffic. Yeah. As long as it's, it's stopped. It's not like they're just weaving through traffic. Yeah. Like it's all regulated, it's safe. They've got heaps of things in place to ensure the safety of the customers and the hygiene as well. Yeah, I did have a chat to them afterwards, and it just seems really regulated. And I had a go on it, as you can see. And it was so fun. I honestly had such a good time. It was better than just hopping onto the back of an Uber and just sitting there in traffic, thinking like you're wasting your time and your money. Yeah. So I really enjoyed it, and I think it's a great idea.
That's really cool. So obviously you would use it. But
Yeah.
the company's not exactly huge at the moment, though, is it? It's still
No,
growing.
yeah, it's starting up. It actually, I think it launches soon, like I think in the next week or so.
Amazing.
Yeah, the app will launch as well. So
Would you use it?
I don't know. I've never really liked motorbikes and scooters, and one thing I hate as someone who drives a car is having them weave through traffic. Even when the cars are stationary, I'm always scared that, someone's going to put their door open, or someone's just going to knock them off their bike, or they're going to get too close and, nudge the mirrors on a car and fall off. And then, what happens if they fall in front of your car when you're driving? There's just too many possibilities.
yeah, I guess it would just be the same as any scooter. I think, it was made, what's it called? Weaving? It's not weaving, it's filtering, I think.
Yeah,
it was made
allowed,
legal for
yeah.
a reason. Obviously, people looked into that and thought, okay, that's safe enough. It would just be someone else in the back of that. But I guess, yeah, if you're a bit of a scaredy cat, then maybe it might not be for you.
Yeah, that's me.
I am looking forward to it. I
Yeah.
drive so much in Melbourne for work and things like that I cannot wait because the idea of getting somewhere so fast
Yeah.
and efficiently and cheaper as well.
It is cheaper just because it's less time.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that, I can't remember what I was going to say.
I was just watching you in that video. Obviously, you just met the gentleman you were interviewing.
Yeah.
And you just jumped on the back of the scooter and
Yeah.
arms wrapped around him. Like,
Yeah,
was that a
well,
bit weird?
Yeah, it was a bit weird. I wasn't I don't think you're meant to do that. I just thought it was something that you were meant to do, so I
Latched
right
on.
after him. But there are handles that you can grab onto and you can easily just sit and chill there. I was going to say to you that there is options to ride with a woman if you feel a bit more safe.
Oh, that's cool.
So they are giving you that option in to ride with a woman in case you're a bit iffy about going with a random dude or something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think I'd just be scared that I'm, trusting. I mean, in a car, if you're in an Uber or a taxi, you're trusting someone you don't know to get you somewhere.
Yeah.
But I feel like
This is the thing. What if they pick you up when you've had a few? Do you still get charged money for throwing up in your helmet?
So that's actually another thing that I asked them. It wasn't in the package, but they're actually only doing it during the day. So they don't do it because of safety, because if someone has had a few, it could get dangerous. Yeah. So they're actually, I think they're stopping it at 9 o'clock or something. They
Oh, that's
said
all-
that.
yeah,
So
that's
it
very
is
right
mainly
then,
during the
yeah.
day and mainly peak hours, because once it gets past a certain time, it defeats the purpose because there's not that much traffic.
Yeah, so that's
So,
very true.
yeah.
Yeah, cool. So you enjoyed the experience?
It was so much fun, and the scooters the one that I was on is electric, and so it's completely silent. You don't hear anything.
Oh,
oh wow.
It's such a weird experience. But it's cool. I really liked it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But now, because we are here at LTYou, we care about our viewers and we like to know what we can do for them. And we don't want you wasting your money on things. So Paula Martinez, who is this lovely person right next to us, had another amazing experience
She
last
did.
week where she went to Luna Park. And I'd love you to tell us more about it as well. So we're going to watch you at Luna Park.
Yep.
And now we'll let you know.
I'll let you guys know how it went. We're here on the entrance of Luna Park. We've just had a look at the prices, and our options is either $2 for casual entry and we don't get to go on any rides. We can pay $10.95 to get to go on one ride, or we can pay $49.95 and have unlimited rides. So let's go in and see if it's worth our money. So we've just made our way into Luna Park. It was super quick, the line was super quick, getting the tickets was really easy, and we're about to go on this ride that's behind me that goes around, so I'm super excited. Waiting 40 minutes.
What did you pay?
$5.50. I feel it's pretty big, but still, it's a bit not for us.
LTYou to undo these two knots. I'm going to drop on these black bars. Make sure not to get any loose items. Leave lift on the side before hopping on.
So tell us, was it worth your money?
Yes, I think it was. So as I said in the package, they did give me 3 options for, I guess, our demographic.
Yes.
We got, so it was a $2 entry just to go in and not go on any rides. So if you just want to go and take photos or something, that's always an option. Then it's $10, you can go on one ride of your choice, and then you can pay the full, I think $50, $49.95, and just have the full day experience and go on as many rides as you want. So, so pretty much, I think that if you're making a day of it, then it is worth paying the full price. I just think that I'll say one thing: if you're going there expecting like a Disneyland or like one of those Queensland, what are they called?
Oh,
Dream World or
parks,
something, then you're going to be disappointed. But if you're just going expecting like a fair, fun, it's like pretty much a permanent fare, then you're really going to enjoy it. I mean, the rides aren't too crazy, but it's just a fun day. If you go and just get some food, go on some rides, and then you've got the beach, right there. So I think if you make a day of it, then I think it is worth. Or even if you just want to go for a little bit in the afternoon, take some photos, go on one ride, then it is like $10 is pretty good.
Did you have a look at some of the other prices for other age groups, so like kids or families or that sort of thing?
It wasn't the package. I think they do have a family package, which is like I can't remember what it was. I think kids under 3 go in for free or something. But yeah. It's pretty reasonable for what you get. There is a lot of options and you can play that. I think if you want to play those games, I think you do have to pay separately, and the food is quite expensive. So if you're in a bit of a budget, if you're a student, then maybe just take a sandwich or something or go out and have lunch.
So you can take food in?
I think you can. Otherwise, you have a little pass that you can just go in and out. So it's not you can, and there's heaps of restaurants in that area. It's really.
But there are a lot of. You would have gone, I think, on the school holidays.
We actually went on Good Friday.
Okay, so it might not have been too busy.
No, it was pretty good. There was a few kids and families, but the line to get in was really quick. It was probably about max 10 minutes, considering how many people were there. But I will say that the line to go on the main ride that goes around, which is really fun. You get the view and you go down. Yeah. It is kind of scary. As
the only manually operated one in the southern hemisphere.
Really? Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah. It's really cool. I enjoyed it. But the line to go to that was 45 minutes.
That's a bit crazy.
Yeah.
What was it like? Was it a bit rickety?
Oh, yeah, it was a bit, I was a bit dodgy. I felt like...
You guys look like you had a great time, though.
Yeah, when you go down, it actually does feel a bit scary. It's not it's super chill. I thought it would just be a scenic ride, but it actually was a bit scary.
Well, you can hear it in the background of that video that we showed. You can sort of hear that rattling when you guys are on the roller coaster. So it's
a bit scary.
It's a bit scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So a bit of a fun day out for students if they fancy an afternoon down the beach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
what else was there that you could do besides those rides that you mentioned? What were some of the other things that you saw that you might have liked to have tried? Or
so there was a kids section just for anyone that is wondering, wants to take their kids. But there's heaps of games that you can play. There is heaps of not heaps, but there's quite a lot of food options. That's about it. Just mainly just the rides.
So very old school sort of fun.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It's really cool. It's really nice in there.
Yeah.
So it's worth just going in and
nice
having a look.
Have you guys been to the Sydney one to compare?
No.
I haven't either, because I was wondering maybe it's
I remember the first time I
rivalry.
heard of Luna Park was in a Mary Kate and Ashley video. I think it's a video that I've got, a VHS, and it was I can't remember what it's called, but they went to Luna Park in Sydney, and that was the first time I ever heard about it. So it looks a lot bigger.
It does.
Than what the Melbourne one does from that
Yeah, it's
video.
not that big. It's actually
the Melbourne one's pretty it's not what you expect. You expect it to be I think a bit bigger and.
But there is they do cramp in a lot of stuff in there.
And have you got an idea of what you're going to do next week?
Oh, I don't know. We're having a look and seeing if we can get to the comedy festival and have a look at some shows.
Yep.
And I guess review them for you guys. Otherwise, maybe your idea.
I'm just going to see you eat a bunch of noodles. Well, thank you so much.
Me going around.
That was awesome. We love Luna Park.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you guys.
Well, last week we introduced you all to the Competitive Online Gaming Society, COGS, here at La Trobe. And this week we have Andrew Drake joining us in the studio to give us a better idea of what it's like to be a member of COGS at La Trobe. So we'll have him in the studio just after this short package.
COGS is the Competitive Online Gaming Society, so we play all manner of different video games at various skill levels.
We're both a competitive and casual gaming society. We do a lot of social sort of stuff, a lot of competitive stuff with other universities, as well as, just local universities, so like internal university competitions. So like in the esports room, we'll play against each other, and we do other small competitions, and mostly a lot of non-competitive stuff as well. So we'd have a lot of in-houses where we just try and play like League, Overwatch for fun, and a lot of like Rocket League and some other casual games.
Well, welcome to the studio, Andrew. Thank you for joining us today. Tell us a bit about COGS. What is it?
So COGS is the Competitive Online Gaming Society. So we are the video game club for La Trobe, essentially.
That's pretty cool. A video game club for
Yeah,
a
that's it,
university.
yeah.
That's awesome. And how long has the club been active at La
The
Trobe?
club was formed, I think, around 2014. So, from there we've just grown.
Beautiful. And
Cool.
how long have you been a member of the club?
I've been a member since last year when I started La Trobe. Yeah.
And what made you join the club?
Because, I like video games. Why not? Yeah. And my brother was a part of it, so it was, a social thing to hang out and do events.
Awesome. How long has your brother been a part of that?
He's been a part of it since 2015.
Awesome. So pretty new to the club, I guess. What's your experience like been?
It's been very positive, meeting people, hanging out, organising events, all these parts of things, participating in, online events, going out, interacting with people, going on bar crawls and all these other various things,
So is it quite a big club? Or?
Yes, we have, in our Facebook group, we have over 800 members.
Wow.
With, some of them being alumni who still interact with the club, and then others who are new to the club.
That's so cool. It's such a big club.
Yeah.
So you said you go out and you do other social things. Does that include gaming, or is it completely?
So
or you do a bit of both?
Yeah, we do a mixture of both. So, let's see. So, this last weekend we hosted a LCK viewing party, which is the Korean finals for League of Legends. So we hosted a viewing party along with the a Korean Asian Society Appreciation Club.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then we've also done viewing parties at the esports bar in the city for League of Legends qualifiers with La Trobe.
Yeah.
And then we have also just done normal bar crawls.
Yeah.
And then other normal social events. We also run weekly Eagle Bar meetups. So then everyone can just interact with each other, play some pool and all this other stuff.
That's really cool, because I think a lot of people get confused that thinking gaming isn't as social as it might seem, because everybody has, and I'm a bit naive to it, but you think you just sit in your room and game, but you're playing someone that you don't know. So that's really good to know.
We're very much trying to promote like meetings socially and all this other stuff to try to get together and such.
Yeah. And the bar in Melbourne, is that one of the first esports bars?
Yeah, GG Easy, I think it's called. Yeah,
right.
It's very cool.
Such a new world.
Yeah, it's not something that I've had a bit of experience, your PlayStations and your Xbox, but all the online gaming stuff, I think it's becoming really big, and it's starting to, take on take up a bit of space and
it is,
make
yeah.
itself known, which is pretty cool. What's your favorite online game?
My favorite online game? Oh, that's to play or to watch?
Okay,
Or
to
if you've
play
got
and to
separate-
watch.
tell
Yeah.
us.
Well, to play, I'd probably say, probably League of Legends because that's the game I play the most.
Yeah.
In order for to watch though, I'd probably say Street Fighter, or more like fighting games and such, because like the skill involved and the training involved into it is so intense and just shows a lot.
How do they train?
So they train by just practicing. So with particularly Street Fighter, there's a lot of combos and learning to block, knowing how to do combos, seeing how people, if someone attacks you and then you block it, then you work out how you want to, you want to counter that and you want to go into your own combo and stuff. There's a lot of mind games that go into it and a lot of practice.
That's pretty cool.
So there's competitions.
Yes.
Are they based in Australia as well? Or?
Yes, there are Australian competitions, and there's more that are growing. We currently don't have a lot due to Australia's internet infrastructure being pretty terrible.
Yes, that's a huge problem.
That is the biggest problem around Australian esports.
Yeah.
But we are getting more and more. As time goes on, and people are seeing it's bigger and bigger.
And has anyone in the club taken part in any of these tournaments?
Yes, there are some people. We have in the club. We have a professional Dota 2 player who plays on a professional team.
What's that one?
So he plays. He plays professional. So Defense of the Ancients too.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is a Steam game. So from Valve, it's another MOBA thing like League of Legends. Yeah. And so he plays on a professional team. He's our coach for the team, for our Dota 2 team.
That's awesome.
And then I think there's also someone who played on an Overwatch team.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've also had I think challenges and stuff from League of Legends and such.
That's so cool that we have people actually
Yeah,
playing in
it is. It's very
tournaments.
cool.
And
The dream to be a professional esports person.
Yeah, it is for some. It's like playing on the highest level and being recognized for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're going to spend all that time,
Yeah, exactly. Why not be
and
the
you're
best?
good at it.
so I think we're both pretty new to
Yeah.
games.
Yeah,
Do you have to have experience to join the club already, or
No. That's so. The biggest thing we've had is the idea. Since we have competitive in our name, it's people see that as a thing. I have to be good at video game or play competitively, and that's not the case. It's not the case. Like anyone can play. I'm terrible at all video games I play.
I think Sasha and I could probably.
Yeah, we'd probably
match you
take
with that.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the ratio of male-female? Is it quite interesting? Like there's more girls than we would think? Or?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, I think you would believe there is. Yeah, there is more females. Well, we do have we have 2 females part of our leadership, which is really good.
Yeah.
And then there are also females in the group.
Yeah,
as
awesome.
Well.
That's really cool. So does LTYou itself hold tournaments?
At this point, no. The student accommodation, since they have an esports gaming room, they have organised some tournaments in the past, and they're going to continue to do so, which is really cool.
Yeah. Is that something that you guys get involved with as well?
Yes, yeah. Since our leader, Colin Harrison, he is the person who looks over the esports gaming room for Latrobe accommodation. So he helps, set a bar between us in terms of if we want to do training or anything there, we can do that, as well as we also help promote events and stuff that they have and help promote the room.
Beautiful. So when you guys, Sash, when you guys meet, is it just to sort of sit and play the games, or is there specific things that you do when you meet as a group?
It really depends on the event. So with Eagle Bar meeters, we just go and play pool and hang and talk about random stuff. If it's, we can also run in-houses, which is just playing games online together as just as Latrobe. Yeah. So with that, we focus on playing the video games as well.
All right. What I was just going to ask, do you see it getting as large as America with the industry within Australia? Say everything in the internet world worked well and we had a fast speed, would you think that would pick up quite significantly?
I think it would, because you see a lot of like the a lot of rural towns and everything, people wanting to do stuff and play video games online with friends that are over there, and so people getting better in those sort of things. It's a way of connecting and stuff, especially in those rural areas of Australia, which there are a lot of, as well as in the city as well. Yeah, and then you also see football organizations actually getting teams for the Oceanic League of Legends League, which is the challenger teams for League of Legends. So you see Essendon actually have a team. And
I had no idea.
It's very cool. And you also see in America as well, you see like basketball teams and stuff actually get Overwatch teams, which is also really cool.
Yeah, awesome.
It's really cool that they're getting involved in that. And
Yeah, it is. Like they're seeing a market for it, and that is that another area to promote to people.
Yeah.
And it's another, and people more and more people recognizing it as a sport.
Yeah, that's the main thing, that it's considered a sport and not just a hobby.
Yeah, that's it. That's probably one of the biggest debates going on, is if people believe it is a sport or if it is a game.
Yeah. I mean, I've probably had a lot of trouble convincing my parents that it was a sport. But if you want to join your club, how do you go about it?
You can join, the easiest way is just to join our Facebook club, which is LTYou Cox. So yeah, LTYou COGS.
We'll pop that up on our Twitter for everyone to have a look
definitely.
at. Is there any secrets to training before we go?
It's probably just playing with a purpose. So understanding, like, I'm playing to get better and to try to train. So so once you finish a game or something, you watch over it again, or you just think back, okay, this is where could I have done better? What could I have done better? How can I improve as a person? And as a player.
Yeah, actually, just sort of one more question. Is it an expensive sport to play?
No. It really depends on the game you want to play. So, but most of the time, you just need a computer and a game. A lot of games are free. You have League of Legends. You have Dota 2. You have Fortnite at this point, and all you need is just a console to play it on, and it's really good. And then you can also buy more other games to play.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing about the club. We really appreciate it. Cool. Now we're going to go back to the scientist, because we missed out on finding out more cool things about what she does. So let's check it out.
My name is Georgia Atkins-Smith, and I'm a final year PhD student in the La Trobe Institute for Molecular Science. What I'm working on is in the field of biochemistry and immunology. In the human body, every day billions of cells are dying, and when these cells die, they break apart into smaller pieces. And we're basically looking into that process. And in particular, I'm looking into influenza infection. So when you get the flu, there's a mass amount of cell death within your lung. So we're looking at this process of cell death in the case of influenza, and seeing how does this fragmentation event affect the pathogenesis of influenza. It's very common in the undergraduate classes to have a lot of girls go through things like biomed and biological sciences degrees. But by the time it gets to like postdoc and then professor levels, these ratios really drop down, and there are not very many women in these higher roles. And I think one of the main causes for this is it's quite difficult for women to go through having children and have maternity leave, and then stay quite a prominent figure in the science field. I thought that Instagram would be just a good small thing to start with, and I don't really know why, but it's kind of turned into a really good platform to choose, because after I first made my account, I realised how many science Instagram accounts there are, and there's a huge scientific community on Instagram, so it's a really easy way for people to share contact and network and keep in touch. I use a lot of social media, so I personally have Facebook, my own personal Instagram, LinkedIn, I use WhatsApp and Snapchat, and I just created a Twitter, but I don't really use it. My initial thought was a lot of my friends and family might not have any idea of what it means to be a scientist, and I think that can kind of take it on a bigger scale, so I can not only show the people that I know, but younger people or people all around the world what exactly it means to be a scientist and what we do on a daily basis. And also to educate others and myself, so I learned so much by going through other people's blogs, and I really try to educate others and share what we do. On the weekend, my brother Rodney came to visit, and I brought him into the lab, and we set up a little science experiment to see how much bacteria and germs basically we carry around on us normally. What we did is we got one of these bacterial plates, so an LB plate, which basically contains a series of supplements to promote bacterial growth. And we got his clean glove, wiped it on his pants and his shoes, and then put a big fingerprint on the middle of the plate. A few days growth on my bench at room temperature. The plate which looked like this before, now looks like this. So you can see it is covered in mold and bacteria and possibly also fungus, which is pretty disgusting. And finally, a really creepy thing about this experiment is these plates actually contain the antibiotic ampicillin, and it really highlights the issue we are facing these days with antibiotic resistance, as all of these pathogens can grow in the presence of this antibiotic. I definitely think my biggest motivation for doing my Instagram is it's genuinely really fun. So I really enjoy posting things and getting feedback and communicating with people on Instagram. Everyone is very active in talking to one another and inboxing and commenting, and that network and that community, it's a really fun community to be a part of. So that's definitely my biggest motivation. I definitely am actively trying to make sure I'm very honest. So a lot of my posts, I want to talk about not only good things and achievements and things that are working in the lab, but also really focusing on the fact that in science, a lot of the time things don't work and the troubles you have and the hurdles. And I think it's really important to have an honest and holistic view of what a scientist is and the day-to-day of a scientist, because realistically a lot of the time things fail, things don't work, and it's a lot of troubleshooting. I think that's really important to show. It's really fun. It's really fun and very challenging, and I really enjoy it because you get to constantly learn new things all the time. So in my experiments and in the literature and going to seminars, you're constantly learning, and you're in this unique field where you're discovering things for the first time. So that's a really exciting feeling.
It was good to see all those really cool things that she's getting up to at the end of that package. She's doing a really good job promoting women in science and promoting all the amazing work that research at La Trobe is doing. So it's fantastic to see that all displayed on her Instagram page. It's a really cool page to go through. I've actually followed it because it's a really interesting it's a really interesting way just to find out a bit more about what she's doing and about the research that La Trobe's undertaking.
That's great to see.
So speaking of social media networks, Facebook is in a little bit of trouble at the moment.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
We've got James here.
We have James talk to us about the latest leaks coming out of the Facebook data scandal. Has the social network turned into a social harvest? So James, tell us a bit about what has happened. For those of our viewers who don't really know what's happened, could you just fill us in?
Well, back in 2016, there was a little company called Cambridge Analytica, which kind of just turned into a huge data mining company that was used from to build profiles on people to target political ads. Yeah. So they were targeted to the 2016 election in America, the Kenyan election, because why not? Yeah. And the Brexit vote. They would target specific people to sway them. Because it turns out a lot of people can have their minds easily changed through the power of social media. Yeah. So it kind of started as some guy made an app where 800,000 people downloaded it. And from there, Facebook's permissions gave this app not only access to the individuals, but all of their friends. So when you have all of these people, it turned into 83 million people that they had access.
Do you know what the app was that he created?
Not off the top of my head. I've just got a lot of graphs at me right now. So,
regardless, obviously, it's popular.
The app isn't around anymore. It got shut down pretty quickly. Once Cambridge Analytica started to hide everything. So 300,000 Australians were affected by this. Yeah. So.
And do those people know who they are if their data was?
There is a way to find out to see if your data was breached, but it doesn't really tell you much.
So why obviously Facebook has a lot to do with it, but Zuckerberg apologised. apologise. Very robotically, as that became a quite a meme thing.
I feel like he's just trying to keep his job.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people who want him fired.
Yeah.
Which is totally understandable, considering if you look at the Uber scandal last year, how the owner of that got ousted from the company. So a lot of people want the same thing to make like serious action. I don't think he's going to go. He's too influential. Yeah. Too influential in
he is Facebook.
Yeah, he is pretty much.
Yeah. Do you think it's made people a bit more wary of, you know, what they're posting, what information, what apps they're letting? Because I know that's something that I'm always really hesitant of to click, you know, and allow Facebook to, I'm just like,
Well, everything you sign up to these days, you either have to use your Facebook account or Gmail account or something
like that.
Which then takes all of that information.
So right now Facebook have like suspended all new logins, all third-party logins with Facebook until they sort out what's happening with their permissions and what apps get access to your permissions. So if you look at Spotify, people can look at what you listen to on Spotify.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which has put myself in some very awkward situations. Yeah, drunk I am at drunk at like 12 p.m.
Listening
just
to
be like, hey, Britney Spears.
Guilty pleasure song. Yeah. What about Cambridge Analytica? Has there been statements or anything come from
they've
those guys?
kind of
or are they
really
just
said
saying
much. They're like, we didn't really know what we were doing, but we kind of did.
Yeah.
So the story got leaked from a whistleblower from the company who went to New York Times and The Guardian.
Yeah.
And that's how the whole thing blew up. And then it just like snowballed from there.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of lawsuits against Cambridge Analytica and a lot of lawsuits against Facebook, which is understandable.
Wow. Yes.
So 2-3 days ago, Mark Zuckerberg had to like face Congress and they asked him a bunch of questions. And it's pretty funny because it's just a bunch of like 80-year-old men being like, oh, Facebook.
Yeah, technology.
But
I don't use it.
But you also have to
think
think most people don't really know how. Like, could you honestly say that you know how to use Facebook? Do you know what all the settings do?
Like behind the scenes type thing? No, probably not. Not 100%. I'd probably be about a 60% knowledge of
Would you know how to use all the features?
I doubt it.
Yeah. So I feel like that's the situation.
Unless you need to know how to use those things, you kind of just
unless something really annoys you and you learn to turn it off.
Have you checked your security settings?
Not recently. So, I could be one of those 300,000 people.
We should probably get onto that and have a look.
Yeah, I highly recommend everyone to like check through their security settings because I know there's going to be a big overhaul of that because the EU were like, hey, you got to change some things.
What about the effects? So that you said it had effects on the elections and things like that. I mean, we can't turn back time and go, oh, we can't make him. Yeah, there we go. I was walked into that one. You can't turn around and go, oh, well, had this not happened, maybe he wouldn't be in power, or whoever in Kenya wouldn't have been in power. Like, you can't.
Well, I mean,
like
Donald Trump got elected. You can partly blame the electoral system. Like, the people didn't necessarily want to vote him in.
No.
Yeah. But, I mean...
There's argument to say, there's been a breach there. And
I mean, when a company can make a profile on you, your address, your birthday, what you like, what you're into, who your family is. Like, Facebook can do this very well. They let people have a look at this data. But to have a third-party company be like, hey, we know if you're a Democrat or a Republican or a swing voter, and we can target ads to change your mind.
Yeah, it does freak me out a bit when, say, you go online shopping casually.
I was just about to say that,
and you're like, I like that scarf, and then you log into Facebook and there's that scarf
again. We recently booked to go overseas, and we were looking at flights and all that sort of stuff, and then it all started popping up on my Facebook feed, and I was like,
Facebook really wants you to go to Bali.
Yeah, they really do. Like, they're really investing a lot of time in making sure I buy those tickets to go.
Yeah, it's creepy.
It's scary to think that, they can see what we're searching, not even, completely off Facebook and off the social media platform there, dragging that stuff. Yeah.
I think people don't realise is that advertisement companies fund the internet. Like, Google, 90% of Google's profits come from advertisement. Facebook, majority of its profits come from advertisement. It's just the world we live in. People are wanting to sell you stuff, and they will go to extreme lengths
to
show you things.
how else are we going to buy stuff now? We're so lazy, we don't want to go to the shops. But
there's an idea around for Facebook to introduce like a subscription-based service or like a paid tier, so you wouldn't see ads.
Yeah.
But
would you do that?
No. I want to delete Facebook. The only reason I have is because of university.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I want to go on. I think
it is very cleansing when you get rid of it for a while.
Yeah.
It's something that I've definitely been thinking about for a long time, but nowadays, you know, one of my jobs is we've got a Facebook group, and that's how, you know, our shifts get put out to us, and all the information we need gets put out to us. You have all your messenger groups. Exactly. It's an easy way to keep connected. So there's that pull. Like, I don't really like getting stuck in it.
Facebook have a monopoly right now. I mean, 2 billion people use the service. A lot of people, Facebook is their life, especially in like a third world country. It's the only way to keep in contact with people. I mean, Skype used to do that, but who uses Skype anymore?
Yeah.
I mean,
you don't
Twitter.
need to, because it's got all the video chats. Everything's in Facebook now. So
well, Facebook like to data harvest ideas from other companies. If you take Instagram and Snapchat, for example. But they're in a very... from a business perspective, it's very good. From an ethical standpoint,
not so great.
Not so good.
Yeah. Where do you see it going? I mean, I don't think I'll ever see the day where Facebook is obsolete.
I don't think Facebook is going to go anywhere for a while, unless there's like another huge scandal that goes with the company. I mean, their shares have gone down for the past month, so they're losing billions of dollars a day.
I think we've got a surprise guest.
We do.
We don't know who it is, but his name's Stephen. I just took a stab in the dark, and his name's Stephen, and he's going to join us.
Okay.
And probably give us his opinion on the whole situation.
Oh, okay.
I mean, what's better than having other people's opinions?
Sure.
He's not a ghost, just to say. Is he behind us? I don't know.
I think they're going to be letting him in a sec.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Would you want to do another rendition of If I Could Turn Back Time?
No, not right now.
Okay.
Not right now.
It was worth a crack.
Let's pump some Spotify tunes.
Yeah, well, then everyone will know.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I think that even if Facebook went down, someone else will create something just as shiny, better, if not, you know.
I mean, there was that Vero,
no,
the new social media company that was like free for the first 200 million users or something like that. Turns out it was just like linked to the Kremlin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just casually linked to the Kremlin.
Apparently they put huge investments into this company. Yeah. And I mean, I feel like right now every social media is like some sort of Russian influence, if you like it or not. Tumblr released the 83 accounts that were linked to Russian political interference. Oh, wow. And when you like look at these accounts, some of them are actually pretty successful. Like some people are surprisingly naive what they read on the internet.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, do you guys remember those chain emails you used to get from the Prince of Nigeria?
Oh, yeah.
Asking for help, and then people actually
I need $100 billion. Yeah, look, it's just one of those. Social media is in a very weird place right now, especially if you look at YouTube. That's a mess in itself.
It's all starting to become paid as well.
Yeah.
Things. Cool.
So I believe we're going to be getting our...
look, I think that Stephen was a hoax. He might have been data mined and not coming in. So,
is he a Bitcoin miner?
Oh, don't get me started on Bitcoin.
Oh, do you have opinions?
No, I don't understand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've read so much, but I still don't get it.
Likewise, Sash.
I mean, I know we're going a little bit off topic now, but I find it so funny when Bitcoin became mainstream and then everyone was like, oh, we're going to invest in it. Yeah. And now it's worth like...
I feel like
nothing. Is it worth?
Yeah.
I mean, you would... I think at peak it was worth 30,000 for one, and now it's worth like 5,000.
Maybe we should do a little bit of an info thing on that next week or the week after, because I would like to know.
Have you been
a bit more about Bitcoin?
Yeah.
There was a guy who paid $3,000 in the UK, and he got sent a DVD of the movie Holes.
Hey, it's a good movie.
Well, look,
It is a good movie.
As thrilling as that is, that's all we have time for today. But remember that we're on Twitter, LT Radio. Is it
LTYou Radio?
Yep. Tweet us if you want us to discuss anything in particular. But if not, stay dry today. It's wet out there. Thank you, James. Really appreciate your opinions.
Anytime.
Thanks, Raquel.
We'll see you guys next week for lunch.
Bye.